For those who are new to the channel, I share videos and tutorials here on YouTube, and you can find free high-resolution photo references on my Patreon site. If you like what I do and you want to support me, you can show your love over at Patreon. Hey everybody, I'm Elise Wong, and today I'm going to share with you how I transferred my outline of the subject onto my art paper. I do this for my watercolor, gouache, and sketchworks. I do this because I want to save time and I don't want to be bogged down by focusing on the proportions, always having to check and see, whether I need to amend it in order for it to be accurate. This helps me focus on other things such as the composition, the color, the contrast, and my techniques. There are other ways to transfer your image onto paper, such as a projector or the grid method. Some people don't enjoy using these methods and prefer freehand. There is no right or wrong. Whatever makes you happy and comfortable, you do what you do best. In this video, I'll be tracing and transferring the outline of my subject. I have here with me tracing paper and carbon paper. Tracing paper is nice because it's opaque enough for you to see through, and therefore you can trace your subject. Whilst the carbon paper is helpful because it helps transfer the lines of your tracing paper onto your art paper. We will be sketching a simple teapot, which the reference photo I took from Unsplash, which is a copyright-free site. And I will paste the link down below in the video description if you guys want to follow. And without further ado, I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to show you how I do my trace and transfer. And I'm going to draw this on an A5 piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the size of my subject to how I roughly want it. So I think that's good. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to trace it. I have this tracing paper with me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this subject. By doing this, it's much easier and faster, and you don't have to get bogged down by making sure the proportions are accurate. It also helps to make your computer screen brighter, so the image is easier to see through the tracing paper. If your sketch paper is thin enough, you can straight away place the paper on your screen to trace. However, the thicker the paper, the harder it is to see, hence why I'm doing this the long route. You don't have to jot every detail you see, only the ones that matter to you. It could be the shape of the subject, the obvious shadows or highlights, whatever makes you comfortable and confident enough to progress through the artwork. Now that we have our sketch paper over here, we can go on ahead and take the tracing paper that we already traced our subject. And this is also good. The fact that you can see what's behind the tracing paper is that you can also see your sketch paper, and it's easier for you to imagine how your subject would be like. Like say if I want my pot on the top left corner, I can like more or less kind of gauge how it'll look like, or maybe I want it on the bottom right. But for me, I am going to go smack in the middle. And it's also important to note where you want your subject, and make sure you stick to it, because carbon paper, the lines made by the carbon paper, is a little difficult to erase. So it's best to just make a decision and stick to it. This is our carbon paper, and we're going to slide it in. And also be careful and make sure your tracing paper stays where it's supposed to be, because once you put the carbon paper on top, it's very difficult to see where your tracing lines will go. So I'm just going to slide it at the side here, and there you go. Now it's not necessary for you to use lead at this point. We just want pressure to transfer the carbon from the carbon paper to your sketch paper. However, I am going to use lead, so I know which part of the drawing I have already gone through. Try not to press too hard, because sometimes you might want that place to look lighter than it is. It's really difficult to erase lines made by the carbon paper. You can try, but it's quite difficult. So at best, you can only lighten the lines. So places that requires highlights, try not to press too hard. And there you go. A little thing that I like to do is because sometimes I like a little bit more control over my drawing when I sketch it. So what I do is I like to take a kneadable eraser and just lighten the lines because I'll never know, maybe around this area I want a little bit more highlights, and once I want less of this dark lines to see through, because when you're trying to go for realism, you're going to try to avoid quote unquote outlines. So if we can try to lighten it, some of it, that would be great. So one thing great about the kneadable eraser is that it leaves no eraser dust behind, as explained in my first video of intro to sketching. So now it looks a little lighter, perfect for sketching. I hope this video is helpful and that you like it. If you did, really appreciate if you like and subscribe. It will help a lot. I share these videos, tutorials, and monthly reference images on my Patreon site for free for anybody who would like to benefit from. If you like what I do and wish to support me, you can do so by pledging over at Patreon. You can see the latest updates on my Instagram, which I am most active in. Both links are down below in the video description if you want to check them out. I would also like to thank my fellow patrons over at Patreon for making this possible. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.